Hello and welcome back to another philosophy video. In this video, I will explain the argument of John Mctaggart's The Unreality of Time. First of all, what is time? Well, it's hard to say because it is invisible. We experience something that we call time, the passage of time, but we don't really know what it is. We know that there is change, but what exactly is it that changes? Are we moving in time, or is time moving? And also, when you think about it, what are the future and the past? We know that the present exists. We experience it every moment of our lives. But what about the future? The future doesn't exist yet. And the past no longer exists. There are two views about time. Roughly speaking, we can say that one is called Presentism and the other one is called eternalism. Presentism says that time passes. It is linear, it is one-dimensional, and one-directional. Some people think that temporal passage of time is real. Well, most people, I would say, most people like you and me, believe that time is real. I'm not talking about the time that you measure with your watch. That might be subjective. So human beings invented watches and seconds and years and so on. That stuff can be all subjective. Yet, I believe at least, and many people also believe that time is mind independent. That there is a cosmic time, so to speak. There's a time that regulates everything, the universe. And that time, whichever way you want to divide it, or call it seconds, minutes, hours, months, years, it doesn't matter. Our categorization is one thing, but there is an objective time that is mind independent. It exists out there in the universe. It is a future of the universe. And this idea of time is what we call a dynamic view of time. Past and future do not exist, only the present exists. This is known as Presentism. Eternalism, or the block view of time, is a little bit controversial. I'm not saying that it's false. Well, personally, if you ask me, I think it's false. But there are very good arguments for it. I'm not going to state all the arguments because this is not the point of this lecture. But if you're interested, I will produce another lecture about that. And you can find all sorts of information online. But what is eternalism? Eternalism is a view that says that all moments of time are equally real. So past, present, and future are already there. They already exist. Think about past, present, and future events, or past, present, and future in general, as the marks, the notches that you see on a ruler. Okay, they're all there. They're all there. They exist at the same time. The idea is, or for example, I have an example here. The next bullet is, imagine a loaf of bread. You have a long loaf of bread and you cut it into slices. So eternalism says we exist right now. What we call the now, the present, is really this slice of bread that we inhabit. And we don't have access to past slices of bread and future slices of bread. They exist. They're already there somewhere. We just don't have access to them. But they are equally real. So presentism, the past and the future are not real. Okay, so presentism would be this one. Okay, the first one where you see that there's a person that is now in the now. See, that's bolded, this image, because now is what exists. The future, well, the future doesn't exist yet. And the past has already occurred and it's gone, no longer exists. On the other hand, in this second, the picture below, as you can see, all the three images are in bold because past, present, and future are equally real. So these three stages represent stages or slices of the whole block that we call reality or the universe, and they all exist. They are equally real. Now let's get to Mctaggart and the unreality of time. John Mctaggart was a very interesting individual. To begin with, his name is very interesting because his full name is John Mctaggart Ellis Mctaggart. He was born in 1866, and he was famous for one particular work that he published in 1921 with the title of The Nature of Existence. And in this famous book, Mctaggart argues that reality is not real, but spiritual. The existence of time in particular, Mctaggart argues, is contradictory. And what's the problem with contradictions? Well, do I have to tell you? Contradictions cannot be true. Nothing can be and not be at the same time. I quote, Mctaggart says, "I believe that nothing that exists can be temporal, and that therefore time is unreal." Why is that? Well, when you analyze time, or rather I should say events, how events occur in time, they don't make any sense whatsoever. Our concept doesn't make any sense. It always involves a contradiction. Now, what can we say about time? One thing that we can say is that time is a kind of order of events, an order. But what kind of order? Well, in order to make this more palatable, Mctaggart introduces two distinct time properties or time series. They're still known by philosophers, by scientists, as the A theory of time and the B theory of time. Let me try to explain what these are. And let me quote Mctaggart. He says, "Positions in time, as time appears to us, are distinguished in two ways. Each position is earlier than some and later than some of the other positions. And also, each position is either past, present, or future." So, for Mctaggart, there are two sets of temporal properties. The B series are the series concerning what's earlier than and later than. Now, the B series are permanent. For example, your birthday is always later than the French Revolution. And the French Revolution is always earlier than your birthday. On the other hand, the A series concern past, present, and future. So such properties are not permanent. They're not fixed. For example, the French Revolution, relative to Galileo's life, is in the future. But relative to Napoleon, it's in the present. And relative to you, when I say you, I'm speaking to my students or the people who are watching this video. So relative to you, the French Revolution is in the past. So events are past, present, and future, but not forever. Okay, not forever, because as you can see, the French Revolution used to be in the future. Then it became present, and then past. And now we so to speak, as it were, we observe the French Revolution moving farther and farther and farther away in the past. Okay, and it always moves according to the A series. So again, there are two distinct temporal properties. The A properties, they're dynamic. They concern past, present, and future. And events change position. They move. Events move positions on the timeline. On the other hand, there are B series properties, and these are static. They're fixed. Something is earlier than or later than something else. So events, in this sense, in the B series, never change their positions. They're either earlier than or later than. For example, Mctaggart lived before you were born. This is a B series statement because it will never change. Okay, the relationship between you, the day you were born and the time when Mctaggart lived are always in this fixed relationship. One is earlier than, and the other is later than the other. Another example, the Bush administration is in the past, right? But it is in the past. This is an A series. It is in the past because first it was future, then it became present, and now from our perspective, it is in the past. Now, Mctaggart then has an interesting argument against the B theory of time. He argues the following: if time is real, and we all believe that time is real, that time is the order of events, and these events move. They go from future to present to past. But if time is real, then either the A theory or the B theory describes how time is. But if the B theory is true, then nothing ever changes. Okay? Nothing ever changes. But if nothing ever changes, then time is not real. So, if the B theory is true, time is not real because change is real. Now, you could say, for example, but why do we have to choose between A and B? Why can both A and B be true about time? Well, we'll see what the problem is in a second. And the problem is certainly described by the argument that Mctaggart advances against the A theory of time. Look, B theory cannot be correct because events change. Okay? So you might say, well, the B theory doesn't fully describe time, but it describes a certain aspect of time, namely the aspect according to which one event is later than or before than another event. But that's not enough. That's not what time is, because you need that dynamic aspect of time that only the A theory of time can give you. But if the A theory of time is true, then a contradiction follows. But contradictions are always false. Therefore, the A theory is false as well. Or time is not real. Well, here's Mctaggart's argument. Premise 1, nothing is past, present, and future at the same time. But if nothing is past, present, and future at the same time, then nothing exists in time. Therefore, the conclusion is that nothing exists in time. Now, let's look at premise number 1, because it seems to be the most controversial one. Nothing is past, present, and future. Well, I'm sure I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, why think that an event is past, present, and future at the same time? What kind of absurdity is that? Well, look, Mctaggart is very aware of this, and he says the following. Past, present, and future are incompatible. And you say, I agree. Every event must be one or the other, but no event can be more than one. If I say that any event is past, that implies that it is neither present nor future, right? And this exclusiveness is essential to change and therefore to time. So these characteristics, therefore, are incompatible. But every event, guess what? Every event has them all. Well, wait a minute. How is it possible? Here's how it's possible. And we can express the argument as follows. First of all events are past, present, and future at the same time. But no event can be past, present, and future at the same time. Therefore, no event is past, present, or future. Or in other words, the conclusion that Mctaggart is trying to derive from this, that time is not real. This is confusing, right? Mctaggart is aware of an obvious objection. The objection is the following. Look, when I talk about an event, when I think about an event like the French Revolution or my birthday or anything in the history of the world, or whether it's future, past, or present, okay? Any event is present, past, or future, but at some time or other, but not at the same time. Why think that all events are past, present, and future at the same time? And voila, the contradiction goes away. Well, Mctaggart says not so fast. It doesn't go away, the contradiction. Because ask yourself, what does he mean to say that an event is past at a certain time, or present at a certain time, or future at a certain time? What does that mean? Well, the objection is the following. For example, when I talk about the French Revolution, I mean that the French Revolution is past. But I mean that it's past in the past. And that's it. So where's the contradiction? Well, it is not true that the French Revolution is past in the past and that's it. Think about it. The French Revolution is also present in the past, isn't it? Because from the perspective of the people who lived during the French Revolution, it was present, and so it is present in the past. But also, the people who have experienced the French Revolution firsthand in the past, there was a time when the French Revolution had not yet occurred. So prior to that, the French Revolution was in the future. But in the future when? In the future in the past, relative to the past. So in other words, everything is relative. And because everything is relative, any event has all the three temporal A properties, which is impossible. Wait, you don't understand it? Let me explain it again. Now, one might reply, no. It is not true that the French Revolution has all three atemporal properties at the same time, but rather, at some time like this, the French Revolution is just past in the past. But Mctaggart says, well, the French Revolution is past in the past now, right? In the present. So you have to say that the French Revolution is past in the past in the present. But also you must say that the French Revolution was also future and present in the past. So in other words, there's no preferred vantage point or point at which you can say this is relative to this moment, that event is past or present or future. Every event in history, every event in the present, or any event in the future have all these characteristics. They are future in the future, in the present, or future in the future in the future, or future in the future in the past, and so on. You just can't get out of this problem. Furthermore, you can say that the French Revolution is past in the past, in the present, in the past, present in the past, and future in the past, and so on and on and on ad infinitum. So it is always contradictory. Every event is contradictory. It always has all three properties. Okay? So you just can't get out of the problem just by saying, no, an event is past in the past because it is past in the past, but it's also past in the past in the present, and in the future, and in the past. So either you admit that any event has all three temporal properties and accept an absurdity, contradiction, or you accept an infinite regress. You can say, well, the way I explain that an event is, temporally speaking, is that it's past in the past, in the past, in the past, in the past, in the present, in the future, and so on and on ad infinitum. This is an infinite regress, and an infinite regress doesn't explain the temporal location of any event. And it doesn't do away with the contradiction. Okay, now I know that you're getting frustrated. You say, no, that's not what I mean. When I say events don't have all the A series, but have them at some time, I don't mean that you replace past, present, and future with past in the past, past in the present, past in the future, and so on. What I mean is simply this. The French Revolution is past in the sense that it's past relative to, for example, January 1st, 2019. Where's the contradiction now? Ha, then Mctaggart says. You see what you're doing now? By saying this, you are giving up on the A-series properties altogether. And now what you're describing here is the B-series. So the only way to explain a temporal location of any event is to say that that event is to locate that event at a specific time. But when you do that, you no longer accept the fact that an event is past, present, and future. So you do get rid of the contradiction, but then you have another problem. the time then is describable only in terms of B series. But remember the argument against the B series of time. Okay, so you can say, well, okay, I bite the bullet. What is wrong with conceiving time? Then time is B, of the B kind. Then be it. No pun intended. Now, what's wrong with this is that if you give up the A series, you thereby give up the notion that events and objects exist in time. Time requires change, and change requires A series. You cannot just trash the A series. You can't get her out of it. Here's what Mctaggart says. Take any event, the death of Queen Anne, for example, and consider what change can take place in its characteristics. So Mctaggart says, take any event, like the death of the Queen, okay? You know that there is change in that event, but where is the change? It is a death, and that doesn't change. It is the death of Anne Stewart. That never changes. It has such causes, has certain causes, right? And certain effects. And these things never change. So where is the change? Well, the only thing that you can say, they can point to describe a change, is in the fact that this event began by being a future event. It then became an event in the near future. At last it was present. Then it became past and will always remain so, though every moment it becomes further and further past. Okay? So the same bottom line. In order for you to describe time in the sense that it changes, there's change, you require the A series, not the B series. The B series will not explain change. So, the only genuine series is B series of time. But objects still change, you can say, since change implies for an object to have different properties at different times. So the problem with this, accepting the B series, is that by accepting a B theory of time, you accept eternalism, right? The view that past, present, and future are equally real. One way to understand this view is by an analogy with space. Okay, so instead of the fact that time is a process of change that goes in a certain direction, you can say that time is like space. So the past and the present and the future are merely different places in space, just like objects. Like, for example, I have 3 objects on my desk, and the positions of the 3 objects can represent past, present, and future in that sense. So it's not a temporal, but it's a spatial difference. So the denial of a series properties is like the denial that there is any genuine property of here-ness. There is no such thing as the present or the past or the future. As I said earlier, eternalism entails that, take the life of a person. Let's call this woman Martha, right? Eternalism says, you see, Martha is not just this one in the middle, but Martha is it's like a snake. It's like a snake. And every inch of the snake is a different aspect of Martha. Okay? One of the problems is, well, this does not really account for change, because a person is just like a snake. There's a tail and a head of the snake, and you say it's the same individual, but the analogy doesn't seem to hold here for a person, because how do you explain that Martha was a baby, so it had the property of being 20-inch long and the property of crawling on her knees and hands, but then in a different slice of the whole block or loaf of bread, then Martha has different properties. She's 5'6", and she has long hair and many other properties. Okay? So what exactly caused this, the characteristics that she now has? And in fact, later on, there's also Martha. But wait a minute, how can it be the same person? So it seems that eternalism has to face the problem that you, or Martha in this case, is not the same person, but it's a different individual at different stages or different slices of time. That's strange. That's very problematic. But for our lecture, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that, according to Mctaggart, the A-series are inherently paradoxical and cannot correspond to reality. Why? Because nothing can be present, past, and future at the same time. That's what the A-series require. But he also maintains that without the A-change, the A-series, there's no change. And so no change, there's no time. Okay? Therefore, time does not exist. Time is unreal. Reality is just spiritual. It's not the way we experience it. Well, I hope you learned something from this very complicated topic. I hope this lecture helped you understand Mctaggart. And if you have any questions, as usual, just contact me. Email me or leave a message. Post a message under the video, and I'll be glad to respond. I'll see you next time.